Days with Miley. This morning I wanted, or this afternoon, never mind. It's morning for me. It'll be afternoon later when this goes up. This afternoon, I wanted to talk about beginning sewing. We have a number of beginning sewing classes here at Vicky's Fabrics, and where we start is our Intro to Sewing, where students who have never touched a machine before can come in, learn how to wind a bobbin, thread a machine, do some straight sewing, and they actually walk out of class with a tote bag. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a quick tutorial on our tote bag that we do here. It is a 1-yard tote bag with no raw edges. The pattern for this tote bag is up on our website in our free pattern section in the shop, and feel free to take a look at the pattern, use it to teach, clubs, schools, churches, anything you want. It's a great pattern. Takes 1 yard of fabric and no raw edges. When we start this bag, it takes a yard of fabric, and this has already been cut. But your fabric is 45 inches wide by 36. The first thing I do is cut the selvage edge off the 36-inch length. And while the fabric is still folded, I cut off a 4-inch piece. So you're going to have 2 4-inch strips, which is the end of the fabric. These are going to make your handles, and this is going to make your bag. Okay? So let us take our handles to the ironing board. These handles is we're just going to do a double fold. We're going to fold our piece in half, use the iron to crease, and then we're going to fold either side in the edges of the fabric to that middle crease we did, iron, and our last iron is fold over and to keep it shut. Okay? From there, we're going to go to our sewing machine and we're going to top stitch on either side, close to the edge, about 1/8 of an inch away, and you're going to end up with 2 handles. Ready? Now we're going to do the body of the bag. We're going to take this fabric that is 36 by approximately 36, so it's almost a square. You're going to fold it so the right sides are together, and on this 36-inch long open edge, we're just going to do a seam. Now, with the beginners, a lot of times we just have them use the edge of their foot on their machine as the seam allowance. If you are in clothing, for example, those students are going to go into a clothing class, you can go ahead and start using a 5/8 inch. Quilters, if they're in their quilting foot, it's going to be a 1/4 inch. And it's not a big deal because this is going to be on the inside of the bag anyway. Okay? So once you go ahead and sew that seam, the first thing I do is press it open. So I'm going to take this seam and using my iron, just very easily press this open. Try and make sure there's no wrinkles on the bottom. Okay. Ready? So once this seam is pressed open, you're going to take your tube and turn it right side out so that you've got your fabric. Now, because we use the fold of the fabric here, I'm going to line up the fold of the fabric with that seam we made. I'm going to flatten. So again, this seam now is going to be lining up with the fold. And this is where I iron the sides. Okay. And I'm going to do this all along the length of the bag so that that middle and that fold line up and I have flat ironed edges on the body of the bag. Okay, now this is where the magic happens. Okay, and these are all in the instructions, by the way. So feel free, in fact, to use the instructions along with this video as a teaching tool. So these sides are flat. I'm going to take this with the seam side up. Okay, this is eventually going to be the inside of your bag. So I'm going to fold to the tops match. And at the bottom here, I'm going to measure approximately 1 inch up on either side. And I'm going to put a pin in sideways. This is important that your pin is in sideways, not running along the fold there. Okay, approximately 1 inch up on this side. Okay, now I'm going to take this top, fold it down, and then I'm going to take this flap and fold it back. Okay, so when you look at the side of your bag, I'm making a W. Okay, when you sew this, it's going to end up making a gusset. So I'm going to put my pin back in here. You're going to take this to the machine just as it is. I always start from the bottom just because this is bulkier. And I'm going to sew 2 seams. Again, you can just use the edge of the foot as a seam allowance all the way up the side of the bag. Okay, so now we are going to attach our straps. So I would recommend that you measure this, especially when you're working with beginners. But I will fold down the top here, and then I'm going to fold it again. So this is still with the seam up, yeah? So when I fold, it's going to be an approximate 2-inch fold down, okay? And then I'm going to take my handles. Now, these were left 36 inches. You can make them shorter. You can make them longer. One of the things I try to do is I put the strap over my shoulder and I see, oh, this is about where the start of my bag is going to be. Okay, you could make it shorter and higher, or if you want something longer, you can always cut on your 45-inch edge instead of your 36. But this is actually a pretty good standard strap length, which is the 36-inch. So I have this folded down twice on the top, and I'm going to carefully, without twisting my handle, about 4 inches from the edge, slide that in and pin it, and slide that in and pin it. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Sometimes I do this so I can line up easily where the straps are going to go on this side. Make sure they don't twist. Slip that in under here and pin. Oops. And slip this under here and pin. Now this I'm going to take to the machine and I'm going to sew along this edge here. Okay, once that's all sewn in, the final step really is I'm going to pin this so it doesn't move, and you'll get to see what happens. This is where the magic is. Okay, I'm just going to pin that. We're going to pretend we sewed it. Okay, this is the seam. That's the inside of the bag. I'm going to come into the bottom. These are the little W's we made. The W's form a gusset on the outside, which squares your bag. Your handles are now inside, and the last thing I do is straighten them here so they're facing up. Oops. And I'm going to top stitch them all the way around the top of the bag, catching the handles. So the handles are in, reinforced in the bottom seam, and now held towards the top with your top stitch. This bag is lined and it has a gusset on the bottom. There are no raw edges because, as we saw with the tube, our raw edge of the fabric is sewn into the inside. And once I finish the inside seam, the top stitch, you have this awesome, awesome little tote bag. Thanks for joining us with Mondays with Miley. We'll have this video up not only on our Facebook and Instagram, but we also have a YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. We'll be doing a whole bunch of videos, tutorials, our Block of the Month Plum Fusion, and letting you know what other fun things are coming up this year. And we'll see you next Monday.